without the bed comment.
All right, let's try this maybe one more time. Maybe I'll get it right this time. Welcome back again to another episode of The 12, our epic campaign of discovery and adventure across the continent of Corvair. Our story streams live Sundays at 6 p.m. Central when I remember to hit the button. And if you missed the last session, you can check it out on the channel page or by clicking the link down in the description.
Last time, our breaths were held as Boko had sliced himself with an alien blade laden with abyssal goo. You might not expect it, but it did not go well. Our bionic cryptid started to convulse and rushed himself out of Casual Joe's, much to the alarm of everyone else. They tried to keep up and understand what had occurred, but Boko just called out a basic desire to head towards the Hospice of St. Laupsenn before he spider-meched across the rooftops and away into the city. When the others eventually arrived at the hospice, they found no sign of Boko and talked with Sunsoo, one of the priestesses, to fill her in. Boko, in the meantime, had skipped over the hospice entirely and headed right for the quarantine zone, drawing attention of townspeople and Griffon Guard alike. He was able to make it over the magical border without being stopped, but was racked by strange visions of his past, with sights and smells of the remnants this outbreak had left in its wake. Boko was able to identify multiple hotspots of diseased bodies where the illithid vessel had seemed to cause damage before he finally made it to the House of Inspired Hands. There, he found a massive door lying open and the dangerous contents of the vaults within missing. Eventually, Boko wandered back to the magical borders, where he was surrounded by hospice guards and put within a protective gurney and was transported back to the hospice. Once there, he was held within an isolation room and questioned by Sunsoo and then Alistair. Boko informed them of what he knew, and they in turn provided the details of what they had discerned about the disease and a temporary magical epidermal layer to prevent continual outbreak from Boko. The party agreed to try and return what was needed for a cure from the Mournland and set off with a mage from the Tower of the 12 the next morning. Oh, and Boko, of course, left his arm behind. I'm sure he won't need that. But Boko did have one more stop he wanted to make along the way. A small village, or rather what was left of it, as it had been lost to time, long since swallowed by nature. Here he found physical remnants of dark memories and spiritual lingerings of whatever had occurred. Boko and Jasira did a moment of meditation in this ritual with an ethereal priest and were given more things to think upon as they made the final leg of their journey towards the dead gray mist. With the wall of the mist now growing on the horizon, will Boko find the answer he's looking for? Will Clyde be able to face his darkest memories of the mist? And what horrors await within the Mournland? Let's tune in and find out.
All right, this time I think we're good to move forward here. Oh, man.
Hey, you got a rehearsal in.
I'm not sure it helped. So,
you were already perfect the first time. So,
thanks. You guys had just made it outside of this small village, taking your cart and kind of making the last little bit, the leg of journey from Laupsenn a little bit west, in between the large city, and you can actually start to see the walls of a nearby fortification known as Fort Loom on this side of the river. However, in between the two, there is a small little port, and you can see a ship, a small two-masted vessel, mostly built for maybe a couple dozen people, and acting currently as a ferry across this river towards the border of Sire. And that is where you are to where your kind of contact within the Tower of 12, Echo Greystorm, has been escorting you all. And as Echo kind of looks across each of you, and from within his own current mount that he has, he's kind of on a horse to the side.
We will be arriving soon. We will take the boat across the river, and once we are there, they will have transportation through most of the dangerous parts of the mist. Does anyone have any questions before we arrive? I'll take that as a no.
And he continues kind of riding ahead to make the necessary arrangements with this salvage company as you begin to make this last bit of the road. Is anyone doing anything prior to making the journey across the river?
Is there like a stable enough environment for me to take a really close look at the soul nullifier and spend some time with it trying to understand how it works?
I'd say over the course of time that you've had just traveling from Carlacton, there would have been. Are you trying to use like an identifier? Are you just using like your own arcane knowledge, or are you trying to tinker with it? How are you kind of attempting to understand this device?
I'm approaching it with the knowledge base that I have in the soul canister and what Jasira has taught me about how this sort of energy works, trying to see which parts of these two devices are at the center of the Venn diagram and potentially how to recreate it or augment it.
Okay. Go ahead in that case. Roll me a Tinker's Tools check at advantage. If you're talking about augmenting or recreating. So you see this small device, and it's maybe the size of your palm. It's kind of got like a octagonal shape, and there are 3 of these capsules within. And there is a pretty complex working of gears on the inside of this shape that you can kind of see every so often kind of will adjust slightly. And almost some of the things seem to almost work in a gyroscopic way where it adjusts as you maneuver it. From what you had done with Jasira's work, you know that these things can be complex and often require complex materials to fully and effectively manipulate whatever energy is related to the soul. In this particular case, you know that to replicate it entirely, you would have to take it apart and potentially risk damaging or destroying it in the hope that you can be able to recreate it. To be able to alter it or potentially enhance it is certainly within the realm of the possible of what you already have. And there's potentially multiple things that you could do to try and alter it. Immediately you realize that these are kind of made to be expandable or connectable, that these capsules will only work for a creature of medium size, and that it in theory could be connected to multiple to be able to kind of simultaneously draw that power to take on a larger creature should that be needed. But currently what you have, it's only kind of capable of handling a creature of medium size. That's the one that's most obvious, is that seems to kind of already be built into what the design that is here. But there seems to be other ways that you could potentially augment it.
And then last question. I have an ability here. Assuming this thing is a product of some sort of tinkerer, that I could potentially be able to approximate its value, place of craft, like what tools would be necessary to make it, who would be able to make it.
Just in the understanding that you have of that you've gathered rather recently about Carlacton, you think that is likely the only place that would have the knowledge and the materials to reliably craft something like this. Especially with the proximity of recent events. You're fairly certain that it was crafted there, and that is likely one of the few places that could support crafting of these type of things. The value itself is extremely dependent on who you're selling it to. For the right person, for the right reasons, easily thousands of golden sovereigns, potentially upwards of 10,000 golden sovereigns to the right person. But the right person can be hard to find. And to the average strange mystical collector, probably somewhere in the few hundred gold pieces easily.
And then if I were to be wandering through somebody's lab, perchance, would I recognize that this would be like a product of what that person is able to make?
It's possible, but not a passive thing, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
if you actively look for it, certainly, but it's not something that you will just notice automatically.
Yeah, I get the sense this is like a Carlactin underbelly kind of situation here, so. But we have questions that we can ask people who are connected, Roland. I will definitely share this information with Roland as well.
He's definitely interested in finding out that it might be worth 10,000 gold pieces. Also, quick question. Have we had a long rest since our last encounter?
I believe so, but for some reason I feel like someone didn't. I think it was Boko worked through the night.
I worked through the night before we got to the when we were in the hospice.
Yeah, so that was last night. So
Okay,
it's still the
perfect.
next morning. So if you guys did anything after the hospice that would have kept you up that evening, that was the most previous night. But otherwise, you would have had a long rest that night, and it's early the next morning.
I
You want
think
me to
I
roll?
just helped Cape Watch.
On for exhaustion.
As you all are approaching closer and closer to the river, the horizon begins to kind of rise up in front of you. What starts out as soft, smoky clouds begins to take shape, and the dead gray mist starts to loom like this colossal, suffocating shroud, just stretching across the horizon where what was once a very vibrant nation of Sire used to stand. Its color is kind of this unsettling ashen gray that you almost noticeably feel the warmth and life from you start to be pooled in that direction, and even just the world around it starts to look gray. The mist swirls and writhes almost as if it's alive, but it's in this tortured, unnatural state where the movements are sluggish and eerie, like this slow, heavy breath that keeps echoing. And as you start to see it closer and closer, that wall, it's not just moving in amorphous shapes. You see what appears to be faces within the mist itself. Just these torturous souls, these echoes of the distant whispers of the damned that just gets closer and closer, that gets taller and taller the more that you move towards this river. As we start to arrive at this place that carried a lot of doom in Clyde's past, what is Clyde feeling or doing in this moment?
Clyde has been uncharacteristically for him quiet as we have approached. More and more subdued as we approach this wall.
So by the time we get there, he's only talking half the time.
He's only halfway drunk. No, he probably, as he's been coming up, he probably hasn't drank anything. Approaching it, it's even, yeah. He's been very, very subdued for Clyde.
Clyde sober.
Getting
That's
there.
scary.
A sobering thought.
The rest of you, as you're getting close to this pier, you can see Echo, who has kind of gotten off of his horse and stopped to converse with those who are on the pier. And you can see maybe a half dozen figures, mostly tall and muscular looking. If anyone who would like to, you can roll me a history check.
I heard intelligence skill. I will roll.
Simple man. I hear intelligence. I click dice.
I'm not proficient in history.
I am not skilled in history, apparently.
So
I rolled a 3.
for Boko and Roland, you two have heard of, well, I guess for Boko, you've been within the Dead Grey Mist, but you haven't much traveled back and forth normally. For Roland, you've heard the rumors and the legends and the horror stories of the Dead Grey Mists, but you have yet to actually get close enough to feel the details or see the details. Rhea, you're familiar with the process of what has happened over the last few decades of these different, what were really just mercenaries and thieves traveling across the mist to try and make their fortune, have now become a little bit more organized and refer to themselves as these salvage companies that are more or less legitimate businesses, as close to the line as legitimate can be, that make these travels through this mist and have kind of professionalized it to be able to do it as safely as possible, which is not a lot, but is something. And it often brings back multiple different magical artifacts or elements of cultural significance that they then sell off. For Clyde and for Bungo, you've heard your Professor Greystorm, who has talked about meeting these these individuals and has talked kind of about this plan, and you're fairly familiar with the process that will happen, and you can you get this lump in your throat as you're getting closer and closer and starting to see this scene unfold in front of you. But it is Clyde who has the most visceral reaction, as these particular salvagers are familiar. And you see the tall form, aging now since long you had met them, but the form of Icar, kind of standing up towards the front of this ship, and kind of commanding the others around what is, you suppose, the newest iteration of Icar's salvage. For the rest of you, you see a pretty heavily armored, but kind of still flexible and able to move half-orc with just like this long white hair cascading across one side of his face. And would be relatively handsome if not for just like the almost artificial aging that seems to be happening in certain areas. The starch bleaching of different hair, the kind of strange wrinkles in some sections. There are even kind of these streaks, these bloodied streaks across his eyes once you get close enough to see him. But he's an imposing individual who seems kitted out as a mercenary. And most of these individuals, you see about half of the 6 that are there are half-orcs. The other, there's 2 humans and 1 dwarf who are all kind of working and loading up things, as this older female half-orc is talking with Professor Greystorm. And Professor Greystorm is kind of like maneuvering you all over and calling you over to load your things onto this small ship. Clyde, you've kind of gotten the moment of catching them before they catch you. Are you doing anything in preparation for this meeting or trying to avoid it in any way?
Looking at Clyde's flaws that I prepared very long ago, Clyde's going to disguise himself, casting disguise self on himself as a slightly shorter Roland with the opposite eye missing.
Karma is a bitch.
Roland sees this and freaks out slightly and turns into a slightly taller Boko with both arms.
I was really hoping you were going to say with both arms.
Clyde, you don't recognize the other three.
I'm joking.
I've
actually, though,
before too. I will do it again with only one arm.
Cycle around.
Actually, though, seeing that it would be pretty suspicious to have a, foot shorter version of me there. Whatever it is that Clyde is scared of that he turns into me, I'm gonna cycle a face of like one of the faces I collected on Green Tarn.
Okay.
And turn into that.
Clyde is just kind of muttering to himself now, seeing as we're getting closer to these people. Just soft expletives.
And Clyde, you recognize the three half-orcs that you can see. In addition to Ikark, kind of standing there talking to Professor Greystorm, standing on the ship giving commands, you see Rajal, his kind of second in command, who is talking with Professor Greystorm. And you also see Ikar's son, Skull, who is kind of wandering the deck of the ship doing different things. But the other three individuals you don't recognize. And it's been a while.
It's been decades.
You're not sure. You're even surprised that these three survived from what you came out of. But you had a crew of a dozen, 15 that were there at one point.
Yeah, Clyde is in almost a state of shock. Now, the worst way that this could have gone in for Clyde, for emotionally, has happened for him. And you've all seen Clyde, or kind of just shut down.
David, did you hear them?
Oh, yeah, alongside of the swapping to a different face, so it wasn't obvious who Clyde had swapped to. Rona's gonna kind of reach up, brush the cuff at his ear, and message Clyde and say, "Are you okay? What is going on?"
Last time I saw all of them, they were gonna kill me, or I was gonna kill them. And it never got better. Of any place, had to be them. Had to be them. Had to be them.
Okay. Let me know if it's you killing them.
They won't be that.
As you all approach and begin to load your gear up into the ship, at this point, Professor Greystorm kind of comes back over, kind of brings Bungo by his side, and Bungo looks extremely uncomfortable at this point. As you're still trying to...
Does Bungo now look at us and now there's a slightly smaller Roland?
And just a random ass
person he's never seen.
He does not realize at all. Not in the
you guys are
slightest.
amorphous for him.
The people at Green Tarn were pretty recognizable too, the majority of them, right?
They were in different ways, but a lot of it was through bodily modifications or through dress. And it's up to Roland whether he wants to kind of take on some of that. But there's only so far that disguise self or that the alterations go to his physical form. So I imagine you're trying to do something more nondescript.
Natural hair colors basically is what I'd have to stick with.
No, I mean, if you want to go for something more vibrant, you could. I just assumed you would go with something nondescript. But you're welcome. The hair colors, the things that are physical, you can do, but you can't add at least if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think you can
Mechanical
add.
pieces sticking
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
We can add those if you want, though. I have the tools.
We're gonna go kind of medium height, medium build, and then full emo, undercut, comb over the missing eye, but the eye shows as still there, but he can't see out of it. But just jet black hair, and he'll stow the hat while with this to like let the hair show.
Okay.
Because having that hairstyle underneath a wide brimmed hat doesn't quite go.
But yeah, so Bungo is kind of escorted over with Professor Greystorm, who looks over all of you.
As requested, they have lightened their crew to allow us to all participate. They have some concerns.
Like their crew, which means that more people might still be alive that Clyde doesn't expect.
They have some concerns about overall safety, but I have assured them that you all are competent adventurers. If we run into any trouble, you will be prepared, yes? The plan is...
Boko looks at his missing arm.
The plan is to take this ship across the mist, and then we will be going, hopefully, across a lighter part of the mist via rail. The rail car should keep us protected from most of the physical ailments, and I will be doing my best to keep the mist at bay to avoid any of the mental implications. Each of you should drink this before you go.
And he kind of hands these small little vials to each of you. And they're kind of this soft, clear, or soft, cloudy white liquid in a small little like test tube.
Clyde downs it immediately and gives it back.
He kind of hands it out to each one of you.
Taking this will help prevent you from some of the... will help hold at bay some of the things that the mist could do should things come to the worst. If things go over well, we will be through without much of a problem. But even after we get through the mist, if you have not been there before, it is not, how you say, easy going. Are you all ready?
Okay. Out of character, hear me out now.
Uh-oh.
For science.
Uh-oh.
Wait, did you just say my name?
Yes. For science, what happens if we don't drink it?
Is anyone not going to drink the test tube fluid?
No. Roland knows to trust experts, and Clyde is the expert on this area, and with how quickly Clyde downed it, he's definitely going to readily accept.
I'm gonna look at it real suspiciously. Like really, really suspiciously.
This cloudy.
It looks a little
dirty
bit
water.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like sour cream that's gone bad.
Oh, lovely.
Or
Delicious.
some issuance of a large animal.
Oh gosh.
Can I attempt to drink 99% of it and slide the remainder into my alchemy tool kit so I can potentially...
You only are going to get 99%
Sure.
resistance.
I mean, he hands them out and doesn't kind of pay attention. If you hand it back to him, he kind of puts the vial away, but otherwise you can do what you want with it. Rhea and Bungo, are you guys both down in it, or any problems that you guys have with it?
As long as other people drank it first and we're okay for about 60 seconds, yeah, I'll follow.
It's a little bit viscous going down the throat, but there's not much bad flavor.
Like
You
the
have to
issuance
chew
of
it.
a large animal.
No, you do not have to chew it. It is liquid.
Oh, that's not the
But
worst
if you
thing I've had, then.
choose,
Tuesday?
Yeah, Bungo downs it. He trusts his professor.
Yours is actually... Never mind.
yours is the placebo because you're the test subject.
And we'll assume that Jasira and Thishalt do as well for now. But you all begin to board into the ship, and it's not a whole lot of space with the number of individuals that are on here. It is made for like 15, maybe 20 people total. And with the cargo that you have being pretty light, like it's pretty almost claustrophobic at this point. But it's not too long before one of the half-orcs kind of gets down and kind of begins to push off the ship, pushing it away from this river and beginning to make this crossing. And you all can see now the captain kind of up at the front, kind of just watching and just kind of gazing out. He hasn't really acknowledged any of you, but is just kind of gazing out with this hard expression. Meanwhile, the female half-orc kind of looks at you all.
My name is Rajal. If you need anything, keep it to yourself. Stay quiet. Keep your bodies in the boat. If anybody's overboard, they get left behind. Understand? Good.
Can I use that at work? If you need anything, keep it to yourself. Oh.
But you guys begin to make this journey across the river, and the mist is pretty much a solid wall almost. But it starts to cascade down into this soft fog that just spreads across the surface of kind of half of the river. And so as you make it, it just gets more and more ominous as you start to approach. But the trip itself across the river doesn't take too long. It's maybe a couple of hours on this slow-moving river from shore to shore. And as you get closer to the opposite shore, closer and closer to this massive writhing wall of shadows, you see this strange little mechanical cart almost. It's kind of like this mechanical little carriage that seems to be totally encased and is just sitting on these rails, almost like a small little train car. As the boat kind of hits the dock, Rajal is kind of the first to step off and kind of kicks a gangplank down.
Move as quickly as you can from here straight into the car.
Clyde is going to send a message to Roland to get your rope ready if they throw me off. And he's going to go up to Icar the Black, up to the captain, and go, yeah, see if he and walk up to him. Icar the Black. Been a long time. I had to make sure you let us over. And then
wearing my face.
And then as he says that, Clyde will drop disguise self to be himself. Good to see you're still alive.
This figure, kind of large and imposing, twists around to look at you. The face of Icar the Black, his once notably black hair is now stark white, hanging over his face in these kind of tattered and torn remnants. This kind of soft beard, kind of braided and beaded, kind of spinning around. You see this hooked dagger on his belt and this axe just kind of resting in his hand as if he's expecting something.
I wish I could say the same.
He kind of just spits onto the deck of the ship.
I'll be damned. The cockroach still alive, huh?
Still am. And I couldn't stay away.
Roland is going to sling the rifle off of her back and just like low ready over one arm and get the rope ready kind of out of the pack in the other hand.
And you see as you're kind of making these responses, one of the human men kind of has a dagger at his hip that he's just kind of resting a hand on as he's kind of just watching you cautiously. Some of the others are kind of just like going from like relaxed to just like on edge, just like paying attention. Rajal from over on the gangplank is just like,
can we not make it one trip?
One time, not a standoff.
Roland looks over at the person like getting ready with the dagger, makes eye contact with just like kind of a quick nod, and then turns eyes back over towards the exchange going on. I'm just like, I see you. I'm not a threat. I'm watching.
Game acknowledges game. As Icar is standing there just kind of looking over you, Clyde.
So what is this? You wanted back after you tried so hard to get out?
Just the opposite. Tried my damnedest not to come back. But unfortunately, I couldn't help but make friends. And they are the good sort.
Unlike some people I know.
Must be pretty important to bring you back then.
Clyde's gonna turn and look at it. I don't think I was ever really gonna stay away.
Well, maybe this time it'll squash you up, little cockroach.
Good to know you haven't changed, Tiger. And then Clyde's going to turn around and leave.
Rajal, I'll stay on the boat this time. You take them on the cart.
And you see Rajal is just pulsing her hands into small fists as she has now suddenly gotten the short end of the stick and moves over to begin to load up into this mechanical cart, this mechanical rail car, with the two humans and the dwarf also kind of get into this. Meanwhile, Icar and what you now see is another half-orc has kind of come up from below. The three of them kind of rest on the ship as everything is unloaded and you all find yourselves on this shore. And there is... It's not much of a shore, as it is kind of rocks and wood that have been kind of put together to like makeshift extend what was once the shore, but that wall of smoke and mist, it comes directly down to where the shore should have been. And so it is hodgepodge, kind of makeshift to just have somewhere to stand before making way past this very tangible border. It's not something that seems to spread out. But as you begin to come into this car, one of the humans is kind of looking at you all. All right, now if we're lucky, which hopefully God's be with us, we will, then this trip should only take about 10-15 minutes. But the mists on the inside aren't as stable as the ones on the outside, and it can go from anywhere from a few hundred feet to a couple miles. Now, we've picked this spot specifically because it is usually on the shorter end of that. But beware that things can happen. So just stay quiet, keep calm. We'll get you through as soon as we can. And you'll be on the other side. And after that, it's your problem. And they kind of turn to their duties as they begin to work the various gears and levers that seem to make this cart run. Professor Greystorm kind of moves in and just kind of casually takes a seat on one of these. They're almost just like benches that kind of line here, and then there's a small area in the back for cargo. Is there anything else that you guys are doing, or are you all just loading into this car?
I think it's probably a very tense situation.
It is, and many of you don't even notice, didn't even realize why there was tension between Clyde and the crew and why there was this illusion.
Yeah, just all of a sudden.
But there is just these eyes that are just locked on Clyde wherever he moves and wherever he goes, from this half-orc Icar the Black. Rennie...
And now Roland is a woman for the whole trip.
Rennie, as you stand closer than you have ever been to these mists, you've heard lots about them. You've seen them a couple times on your travel, but as you stand here, just every inch of that kind of fur or hair on your body kind of stands up on end. You swear that even kind of the feather in your hat just kind of perks up, as it is just like there is something so wrong, so unnatural about this place, and it is uncomfortable.
I don't like it. I don't belong here. What are we doing here? Why did I agree to this? I am not happy.
But sooner or later, each one of you step inside this metallic cart and loading your various belongings that you have brought with you. You see that even Professor Greystorm has a couple different crates that he's had loaded into this cart on the back. Then slowly but surely, it seems that this dwarf is kind of brought on as he seems to be kind of the one running this contraption. The others are doing what they can to assist, and Rajal, the only half-orc who got stuck with this duty, is kind of just sulking and watching all of you softly. But while this kind of cart has glass windows, most of this is entirely encased. And as this thing begins to kind of surge to life and slowly rumble forward, edging you all into this mist, the wall of this roiling thick fog cascading over you, vision ends very quickly. And Rajal kind of looking at each of you.
I'd avoid staring outside the windows for too long if you don't want to go crazy.
She just kind of rolls her eyes and sits back up against the wall waiting for things to be over. As this cart is slowly...
to assume we aren't already.
You see ever so slightly the edge of her mouth curl up. But as this cart begins to roll through the mist, you all kind of sitting there very quietly waiting for this to be over. I'd like for each of you to go ahead and make me a wisdom saving throw.
I was this close to casting enhance ability on wisdom before we entered the mist. I should have done it.
Well, fortunately, enhance ability doesn't affect saves.
Okay, cool. Unfortunately for a lot of people.
Holy shit, Ben.
I know what is happening.
This is the character
I've
you
never
were
rolled
made
this
to
hot
play.
in my life.
That's 2 in a
Clyde's
row.
about to fail when his tooth flashes and he succeeds instead.
Ooh.
Actually, that's 2 18s in a row, Ben. Statistics.
I love the
He's got those weighted dice.
I love the flavor of Clyde just getting in trouble and his mouth being closed and it just goes
And everybody is just like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. What happened?
Well,
Usually
then.
happens when first time he's getting drunk each night.
the first time.
Only works the one time.
And then we'll roll for Jasira. And for the Schalt.
Hey.
I always roll so good for the Schalt. So
I
as
think that's half of his hits.
as this cart pushes through into the mist, most of you are feeling pretty confident with the magical potion of whatever this is, the protection of this armored cart, and guidance of people who seem to have done this a few times. You feel pretty good about your chances. Clyde, there is a part of you that is just dreading going back in, and for a moment it feels like it's going to consume you, and then this kind of magical calmness comes over your mind, almost like going to the dentist and then suddenly getting hit with the laughing gas, where it's just like, oh, I can do this. And it just kind of fades away more than anything else. For Rennie, that anxiety is palpable, and you feel the claustrophobia intensify as sweat starts to bead on your brow. You can feel your hands getting a little bit of vibration in them just from that fear starting to build up within you. Anyone who's paying attention to Jasira can also see her kind of shrink into the shadows. Like, she always avoids light and kind of sticks to where the shadows fall on paths. But in this moment, she's in the back corner of this machine. She's like shrunk down as small as she will go. There is just this dread that has kind of laden over her. And she's even kind of, despite no longer needing the mask, she's put the mask or kept the mask on to kind of keep in this state. For anyone who glances past the windows, those moving shapes, those latent faces, the echoes of life within the mist occasionally pass by. But for the most part, it is a steady chug of this machine as it slowly makes its way through the mist. It's about 10-15 minutes, and one of the humans just kind of curses and looks around. Looks like we're not lucky today. It's a bit longer. Hang in there. To kind of everyone. 20 minutes go by. About 30 minutes. Suddenly there is a and the movement of the cart kind of judders to a stop. For those of you who speak Dwarvish, you hear a thick Dwarvish curse as the dwarf begins to go to work, kind of looking and examining what's wrong with this machine. Immediately, Rennie and Jasira, kind of their eyes start darting around. They start looking. They're on edge. I mean, I just assumed.
Clyde understands just the curse words.
Perfect.
Fluent in those from the days at the tavern.
Yes.
For many of you, but Roland specifically, understanding the language, can tell that there is something wrong with the machine, and the dwarf is doing all he can from inside, but is getting increasingly more frustrated at whatever is holding us up. And eventually, Rajal kind of goes over and has a whispered conversation. Roland, just knowing who you are, if you would like to make a perception check to try and catch portions of this conversation, and if anyone else would as well.
Is the conversation in Dwarvish?
The conversation is in Dwarvish, yeah.
Can I also make a...
What portion of the conversation is in curse words, if I can make a roll for it?
Sure. All three, you can give me perception checks.
I'll get mine at disadvantage.
I get distracted looking out the window and go mad.
No! Bugger on a stick.
Damn!
All of you kind of listen, ears up.
Off the 20.
We all put our ears to the door at the same time, getting in each other's way.
Yeah.
Ben, did you have something?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Then all of you kind of ears listening up, but it is like they are purposefully trying to speak in quiet whispers that only they can hear, even in this small space, which naturally makes you a little on edge. Is there something that they don't want you to know? Boko, you go to kind of listen at first, and then one of these kind of faces goes by, and you swear that the eyes are glowing, that you can feel the presence of some sort of spirit latent in whatever passes by, and you're just drawn to it and kind of step forward. But you've been here before. These spirits are almost... There's a reason, maybe, why the Mournland felt like a home at one point. Why you were so used to being around spirits. And maybe for the first time, having passed through this slow enough to pay attention, or lucid enough to pay attention, seeing these vivid echoes of what life once was, makes it clear why this place is so laden with magical and spiritual energy. Eventually, the curses of this dwarf come to a head, and Rajal kind of motions for most of you to kind of stand back. Just, all right, we've got some issues here. Everybody, if you can just keep your spots,
We're gonna go take a look at the track. We'll be right back.
Roland will reply in Dwarvish. I've got some rather accomplished artificers here. If you'd like a hand.
Are you volunteering to help?
Boko will answer for him in Dwarvish and say, "Yes, we are."
All right, whoever wants to help, let's go.
Boko's gonna look at Jasira before he leaves.
If Boko and Roland get up, Clyde will definitely get up with his light crossbow.
Jasira is kind of in the corner still. She doesn't want to go anywhere near that door and is kind of retreated back to herself.
He's just making sure that panic has not reached like a crescendo.
Yeah.
It's more, it's not reaching mania. It's kind of focused and internal at this point.
She doesn't need the brown bag yet.
And as the dwarf kind of goes over and picks up this large latch and slides it over, immediately this mist starts to swarm into this interior compartment. And you see Professor Greystorm kind of stands up and with an incantation just moves his hand, and this soft wind kind of blows up, just coursing through the whole car and kind of keeping the mist at the outside. The dwarf kind of
Roland
hops down. Yep.
Is going to cast Bless on the people going outside, so himself, Boko, and the dwarf.
Is Clyde going outside as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I hope not. Okay.
Oh yeah, Clyde won't let you guys go out alone.
Are you still covering the dwarf, or do you want to do
together.
Clyde?
I assumed that it was going to be the person who asked for help, the person who offered help, and the person who confirmed we were going to go out.
Yeah, no.
Makes
Clyde
sense.
just saw that two of his party members got up and were getting out. All right.
Well, speaking Dwarvish, so...
No, he heard the curses getting louder. Was like, all right, I know when shit's hitting the fan for Dwarf.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, so like, he doesn't know what the conversation was. He just knows that a conversation occurred.
Yes.
So
You've got my gun. You've got my arm. Fuck.
So the dwarf is the first to kind of hop out. He's kind of very timidly followed by a human as Roland and Boko both head out the door, and Clyde kind of waddles after. The five of you kind of maneuvering out into the mist, and Rajal kind of slides the door closed as soon as you exit. I would like for Roland and Clyde to both roll me a Constitution saving throw and advantage as you all begin to step forward into this mist, and for the first time this thick dread just swarms over you.
Oh, well, sounds like I'm doing it at a great time.
Was my name not in that con save?
Your name was not in that con
D4.
save. You're
Sorry,
you're
14.
from the Mournland. 14 and a 17?
I'm just saying.
All right. So Clyde, immediately upon kind of exiting this, there is just this wave of dread, and you feel as one of these mist shadows just swarms in through your mouth and nose and starts to drain warmth from you. You're going to take 4 points of necrotic damage.
Disgusting.
And you start to feel this weight of just being here drawing on you. And we'll see.
So good. Now it's a physical pain to go with the mental anguish.
Anguish?
I wanted to say
Anguish.
Can you paste Gust
That
for
like
me, Roland?
penguins, but...
Oh,
I just need the duration for Gust. Is it a minute or is it?
Gust, I think, is a minute to keep.
DM,
Well, it might be out.
does Clyde
Yes.
is light good or bad in the mist? Does it push parts of it away, or does it bring things in from what he remembers doing
Gust.
this sort of bullshit before?
Gust is instantaneous. It has to be continuously cast.
What am I thinking of? It's
Warding wind,
Gust of
You're
wind.
thinking of
gust.
warding wind.
Is it warding wind? What was the one that you used last time, Ben?
So gust of wind is 60 feet long. It's concentration for 1 minute.
That
Warding wind is concentration for 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Blows
gotcha.
around you and like does a bunch of stuff.
Gust is just the
Hedges out
cantrip.
vapor, gas, and fog.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gust is
Yeah.
a cantrip.
Gust of wind is what Professor Greystorm used. That's what I was thinking you were using, but then realized it was the cantrip. So Gust doesn't do a whole lot. It gives you like a space to step into before the mist rushes back in. So if you continually keep it in front of you, it kind of keeps the mist from your face, but it doesn't do much beyond that, or from one person that you choose.
Well, so just for oh my gosh, stop being stupid.
I promise very little.
Let me check because we're using the evolving cantrips, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to see if it gets magicked better?
Yeah.
I'm an
So at
I only get
depending
2
on what level the professor is, at 5th level can be used to displace vapor, gas, or fog within a 5-foot cube. And then there's a jump benefit at 11th, and then 17th it goes up to a 10-foot cube.
Yeah, so the professor is still within the cart. He just kind of cast this to keep the cart safe in the moment that the door was open. But he's kind of legs crossed. He's expecting this to be a normal thing. At this moment, he's not getting deeply involved or seems to have much concern. But for the three of you kind of walking your way out, it is difficult to see much more than your hand in front of your face, and you kind of walk along this metal cart, kind of keeping your hand on the car at all times, and eventually come to where the front is, and you see the dwarf kind of down, working on the tires, kind of trying to pull out what is some sort of corpse creature that the cart had hit, and it is currently lodged within the wheels. And he's kind of calling out of the human to assist him as they're kind of trying to pull it free of the rails in front of the car.
Give him something. Give him a hand.
You guys just trying
the
to
only one that I have left.
to pull this thing out?
Reach into the bag of holding, and pretty sure I have a
Pull out another hand. Come on, do it.
I have a crowbar in here. I'll pull out
You
a crowbar.
also have another hand in there, I'm pretty sure.
I have many hands in here.
I just want to say this now. Clyde is going to be using Bardic Inspiration on whoever is going to be making the check to remove this bullshit from the wheel. I just need to know who's that first.
So the dwarf seems to be leading it. Yeah.
The dwarf?
Mm-hmm.
Can I investigate the wheel for any further damage?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other obstruction?
Give me an investigation check.
Because I'm not a strength person.
Yeah. This is part 1 of the repair, it certainly seems. It's done some sort of damage, so you're kind of already getting ahead of it and trying to look for where that damage is.
What's the next step after we yank this out, and is yanking this out going to make the wheel fall off? 7, so 16.
Yeah, so
Bardic Inspiration is just him talking to the dwarf, and it's just affirmation pointing and then expletives at the thing that's fucked up.
Roland, as you kind of move across, you can see this is what almost looks humanoid. Kind of for a moment, you see this kind of man in this cloak, but the skin is all wrong. It's like blue-gray. The hands have these elongated fingers, and it's just kind of scrunched up into the wheels. And it seems that it's kind of has kind of loosened this thing off of the track a little bit, and so it needs to be kind of aligned. But then the mechanisms of the actual wheels that attach to this car, there's some sort of steering mechanism that allows general propulsion and, in theory, to select the rail that you want to be on that also seems to be damaged in some way. And it seems to be a mix of kind of this arcane and mechanical contraption, where there is some parts that are just straight mechanical and some parts that seem to be enhanced by magic. And you've come across many of these before, especially even in Carlacton, that are kind of used as mechanical carriages or trolleys to popular places.
Make sure you take notes so we can upgrade the cart later.
Now, Austin, am I with the group at this point?
So, Thishalt, just to get you caught up to speed, you all have taken a ship to the edge of the Mournland and are now on a mechanical rail car as you've passed within the border of the Dead Grey Mist. Most everyone, currently including you, are within this cart, but something has happened on the tracks, and a few people, including Boko, Roland, and Clyde, kind of stepped out with the dwarf engineer to kind of fix what was going on and fix the problem. Inside the cart, you can see that Rennie and Jasira are both feeling kind of this immense dread and are kind of locked within themselves in the moment, clearly feeling frightened.
Understandable. Am I familiar at all with this rail tech? Oh, sorry.
No, to add a little more context, Roland said that there were quite a few skilled artificers, and then only one proceeded to help.
I mean, I'll certainly come out there and help out.
If you had wanted to kind of pop out with the others, you could have.
Sure.
No, for reference on that joke, Roland is also out there.
Oh.
So is Clyde.
You know what? That's a good point.
And also, Roland is currently a woman.
Oh yes,
okay.
that's another thing. So Clyde decided to turn into a shorter Roland as a disguise as we walked up to the ship for reasons.
He was slightly panicked. He looked to the first person to him and was like, yes.
And then Roland slightly panicked and pulled a face out of his memory and turned into it, and it was a woman.
So things have gotten very weird in the last hour. Interesting.
Yes,
been a good time.
Yes, Roland is now Clyde is now Clyde again, and Roland is just stuck as an emo woman.
And there was a brief Mexican standoff on the ship.
Well, I miss Roland, but I'm gonna go out and see if I can help out with the artificer.
Rolita is here.
Oh, and
also we're in the mist right now.
Yeah. Is light good, or would Clyde be worried that light would attract more things or ward off some of?
So light certainly doesn't ward off things. Within the mist itself, it's unclear whether it actually does much of anything. Because the rumors and legends around it are that it's extremely easy to get lost. But it kind of provides some comfort. And within the mist, the light doesn't go very far, so it's not going to draw much to you. However, once you get into the Mournlands themselves, past the mist border, then it gets dangerous because it's all dim and dark light, and that light will shine for miles. Yeah.
Well, good thing evolving cantrips. I can make my light little now.
See, what you don't realize, my boys, this is the perfect opportunity to test the filtering system on this thing.
Time to make some super flashlights.
I mean, if there is a body that is wound up in the wheels, keeping this trolley from moving, we do have the Schalt, who literally can just blast it into pieces.
I don't think we want to use that much force.
Oh, he's gonna pressure wash.
Yeah, hey, pop our head in the cart and be like, Thishalt, can we order a steam facial really quick over here?
And Thishalt, are you able to roll right now, or are you just on audio for right now?
I'm just on audio for the moment. I'm driving back right now.
No worries. I'm just going to take care of a quick roll for you.
I was going to see if you hurt.
I assume it's not Constitution, considering that I've got the filter, unless it doesn't work out here, which would suck.
Let me check on that, actually.
He's got good air canisters that he's.
Well,
breathing.
no, I'm pretty sure that I've gotten the thing upgraded to the point where it can actually immunize me to like poison clouds and stuff. So hopefully the mist counts in that.
Do you have the language for that anywhere in the sheet, or know what that is?
It should be in my features and traits of the stuff that you sent me.
Okay.
I think I wrote it all down.
Hardy Forge, Iron Body Toss.
Wait, does that mean you're
environmental
immune to the...
suppression? Here it is. You become immune to certain environmental hazards such as toxic gases, underwater conditions, and extreme weather while in this suit. Through airtight joints, built-in rebreathers, and temperature regulation enhancements. Yeah. So you don't have to make the con save.
All right.
Damn, deluxe.
However,
why did any of us walk out here? Why didn't we just send out the fucking power armor?
However, the mist is not purely physical. It also has a mental component. And I would like for everybody to make me a wisdom saving throw. Everybody who's outside. So Clyde, Boko, Roland, and I'll roll for the Schult.
I am happily inside. I am not moving.
That was a lore. That was a lore roll right there. That was a lore natural 20.
Not that it matters for Boko,
could you tell me
but
how much I
get?
Yeah, you do. Still get plus.
Okay.
What was that, the Schult?
Could you tell me how much I end up rolling?
You got a 19 on the wisdom save.
Gosh.
Okay. Yeah.
Have I rolled above a 10 tonight?
5.
I don't think I have.
Clyde's starting to get scared here in the mist, people.
Ben, give me back my luck.
Bad memories here.
It isn't good, but it's still better
your
than
luck.
yours.
I've seen your luck. You don't.
Yeah,
look
no.
luck.
Ben is supposed to be the person who makes me look good.
I've taken it for my own.
So at this point, the dwarf is able to kind of heave and pull, especially with the Schult's help, pull this body free of the rails and kind of tosses it out to the side. And Clyde, as this body kind of gets tossed by you, you kind of follow its path as it lands in the ground nearby. And you watch as the figure's head kind of snaps up with these piercing yellow eyes. And what you took for a cloak begins to spread around it, revealing itself to be a pair of these large black wings. And with one just powerful motion and this blast of chill air, the wings sweep and the vague figure is gone into the mist.
Does anybody else see this?
Right now, Clyde is the only one who sees this happen.
All right. Well, turn around. All right. So I'm getting back in the cart. We good, right? Yeah, we're good. And Clyde's gonna get back in the wagon.
So Clyde,
turn to see like, we're good, right? Yeah. All right. Good.
Clyde begins just kind of moving, hands up, kind of moving along back to where the door is.
A string of dwarven curses disappear into the mist.
And for those of you who are here, again, the dwarf already begins to kind of get down and begin working on the mechanisms. Roland, you were looking at this previously. Are you trying to help in any way, guide, and kind of explain what damage you kind of assessed?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll keep Bless up for as long as it lasts, and then after Bless dissipates, I'll switch to Guidance for the dwarf.
All right.
And also use basically the help action to point out the things that I saw.
Okay. For the Schult and for Boko, what assistance, if any, are you guys providing as Roland is kind of down with the dwarf engineer working on the mechanics?
Breaking out the tools and making sure that if there are multiple parts that need to be fixed, that we're following his lead, and like if there are multiple spokes that need to be repaired, making sure that all of them can be done in a quicker fashion.
Okay. And the Schult, anything that you're doing?
I think I'll look at because were you saying I was familiar with these rail systems, or is this something that I really haven't had that much experience with?
Yeah, these are very common rail systems. This is kind of a more primitive version, but there's a lot of different kind of like trolley style, magical and mechanical kind of combined transportation systems throughout Karnath and through much of the 5 human nations.
Well, it seems like we got 3 different people that are currently trying to work on the part, so I'll provide the advice I can, but probably maybe even look down the rail just a little bit and look around it just to make sure there's nothing else that's going to inhibit our progress, at least in the near future. So
we need to build a wedge for this thing so it can clear the track.
All right, then I'll go ahead and roll with him. The Schult. Okay, that's good. The Schult, I'm getting all my names mixed up today. I don't know why. Clyde, you move over and kind of give a hammer on the door once you get there. And you see as Rajal kind of begins to slide open the door and kind of sees it's you. What's going on?
They're just about got it done. Got something out of the wheels I wasn't going to be anymore. Hell, also, just as freaky as I remember. Please let me back in the wagon.
You sure you don't want to go for a walk through that?
Clyde's not even gonna like. I thought of making a joke about him turning around. He's gonna look. Absolutely not.
Clyde, can you make me a wisdom saving throw real fast?
I don't want to, but yeah.
Yo. Oh no.
There's this darkness that comes over Rajal's eyes for a moment here as she looks in you, and you can see her pop out this blade out of her hilt just enough that it sparks this magic. And she goes,
why don't you go find the spot where Jess died?
And you feel this magic start to come over your mind, and then suddenly there is this pooling of wind and energy as it sucks in and away as Professor Greystorm holds up a hand.
You will not be affecting any of our people here.
With a counterspell. And then immediately surges the gust through, blowing the mist back out and kind of tossing Rajal's bit of hair that she has and opening the door further enough for you to step in. And there is just this daggers from Rajal as she's opened up her hand a little bit more than she intended to, and you're not gone.
Yep. Clyde's not surprised at this. He's surprised it took this long, and he's going to get in the wagon. He expects this supplement. Yeah, no, he doesn't have anything to say, but he's actually real shook.
Okay.
Clyde, give me an intelligence check as well.
Saving throw or check?
Just to check. Okay. Clyde, you remember the last time you were here. It is seared into your memory that magic can come alive in the Mournlands. That what happened all those years ago was that a spell that one of your teammates had cast came alive and turned on you all. That living fireball that haunts some of your darkest nightmares. The fact that multiple spells have gone off with no ill effects is wild and makes you feel like you are ticking the clock on a countdown and getting closer and closer to something terrible happening. And this fear is still just heavy inside of you as you go to step inside the cart to get away from the mist. And once again, that door slides closed.
In that case, he will have a snide response and it'll be, you should know better.
She just kind of sits down again. For most individuals are kind of like left looking and trying to see exactly what happened. For a few in here who have caught pieces know that something just went down, but for many, the daggers that are now clear in the gaze Rajal gives to Clyde, there is that intensity. But a few minutes passes, and the whirring engines on the cart restart again as the dwarf kind of gives a happy chuckle, and the rest of you begin to head inside. Can you get one last wisdom save from the Shalt, Boko? And
Clyde will send a message to Roland saying that if he suddenly disappears, it's probably her fault. So she probably did something to him. Keep an eye on her.
Is Bless still up, but probably not?
This would be right at the end. This is right at... Oh, no, because it's only 60 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get it mixed up with 10 minutes.
Wisdom. Hey, I'm back.
All right. So Boko and Roland,
Thank you, Ben.
you kind of step into this cart as the door opens once more, making it safely inside. The Schultz, you swear there was a male, one of the crew who was behind you. The dwarfs in front of you, Roland and Boko, just passed into the cart. Where did he go? He's not here anymore. And this dread, this kind of worry starts to creep up the back of your spine, and you're suddenly aware that you're the back of the line now. And something could come and grab you and take you into the mist. And that fear, that paranoia starts to rise in your mind. Is there anything that you're doing?
Oh, right. Well, I'm glad I kept the physical effects off, although I gotta admit, as I just gotta work back in, this is a bit worrying. Not, I suppose, at the same time. I mean, we're getting back in right now, right?
Yeah, you just saw Boko step in. Roland's inside. The dwarf is kind of stepping up inside. There's still that burst of air that is coming through, blowing the wind away. You see your opportunity. You need to get out of this mist. It's not safe.
All right, everybody, let's get it back in the car really fast right now. Okay, bye-bye.
As you step in, you feel what seems to be this soft clawing just across your skin on the back of your calf as you step that last foot inside, and you just turn around and slam the door shut from whatever was there. You don't know what it was or how it got there, but you're now on edge too. And Rajal doesn't even look up, doesn't speak. But the other human there kind of looks at you. Where's James? Why did you close the door? We got to get James. He's still out there.
I did not see him out there.
He kind of moves and opens up the door once again as it slides, that last bit of air still pushing it for now in these few seconds. And he kind of looks around. Where is James at? And he's kind of looking at you at just this faceless helmet of metal for any answers. And you move as fast as you can away from the door. You do not want to go back out in that mist. And Rajal finally looks up and speaks.
Either go out and look for him or close the door. We're moving on.
And there's this split second of decision before he sighs and closes the door. And the car begins to rumble forward.
Was there another person with us?
There was another person with you.
Fuck.
And Clyde,
James isn't here anymore.
you know this stuff is all too real. Salvagers, their mortality rate is about 1 in 10 won't make it back from any given trip. And that's a good mortality rate that has increased significantly over the last few decades.
That's a random one getting picked off, not a full group getting wiped out.
Yeah, exactly. The next 10 minutes that go by is the longest that many of you have ever experienced. That dread just keeping you immobilized, the intensity from Rajal's gaze at Clyde, keeping everyone locked on edge. But eventually, thankfully, the mist departs from the windows. Roll another 5 minutes or so just to be sure that you're away from any shifting before the dwarf kind of gives a hearty sigh and kind of sits down and kind of wipes his brow and kind of looks over, gives a thumbs up. Rajal slides the door open, just kind of steps out and walks off for a little bit. The last human man who's in here, his name is Viren, kind of looks at you all. Well, this is our stop. You can grab your stuff and be on your way. Thanks, I guess. And he kind of sits back down on his spot. The Professor Greystorm, kind of on his way out, puts a small bag of coin and the agreed upon amount, leaves it with the man, and I'm sorry for your loss. And steps out. Come now, everyone. We must get moving. And he begins to wander away from the carts and out into the Mournland. And as you all look around, you see this dead, empty landscape. Though the mist is behind you, that thick wall, it is still this foggy, dark atmosphere. And that roiling wall extends high up in a dome above, and you cannot see any sign of the sun. That fear, that dread from the trip is still there whenever you look at that wall, but the further that you start to venture away, the better you start to feel, and many of you are anxious to get away from that wall of death. Rennie, you look around and there don't seem to be any bugs, which at first makes you excited, and then you realize if there's not even bugs in this place, maybe you shouldn't be here either.
One of those moments that you realize that it's usually prey that has eyes on the side of their heads. So why do dragons?
That's not a mountain.
If it's super dim out, well, it's dim light.
Yeah, it's all dim light here.
Okay.
And this is during the day.
Dancing lights isn't gonna do me much good. Because if I remember correctly, yep, sheds a dim light in a 10-foot radius, so it would just be there. Unless I create a spectral form walking next to us.
Please don't.
I'm sure that won't be terrifying at all.
Not at all. Why would it?
Just have a vaguely humanoid form with a deer mask walking behind Boko.
Father?
Are there any notable landmarks that we can see within the mist from where we currently are?
Yeah, we're Skull Mountain.
Right now, where you are, you see what looks to be a singular massive beam of light off to your left that is hundreds of miles away, but it is this large beam of light that just kind of cracks through the mist and is the only thing that looks to break through the mist.
Is it on the other side of the mist?
No, it is in the mist, but there is that light is the only light that is piercing through the mist, and it is like a large pillar of fire through the pillar of radiant energy, I guess, through the sky down to some structure in the distance. And again, it's hundreds of miles away, but it is visible from those miles away.
I don't suppose the existence of a hell gate implies the existence of a heaven gate.
You already know you're not allowed.
Yeah, you got thrown out. We found that one first, and you got thrown out. So you know.
And
actually, legitimately, holy shit, we found that one first, and you got thrown out.
At this point, you all have seen
lore drop.
You all have seen Professor Greystorm, who has kind of moved over with he's suddenly summoned this kind of circular gray disc that is just kind of ever so often sparking this electrical energy. And he's kind of lifted those large crates onto this disc and just has it hovering beside him. But he comes over to you all and rolls out this aging parchment map and begins to kind of point out different things as you all start to see this space in front of you.
We need to go a good ways into the Mournland. Have any of you been here before?
I have, though it's been a long time since then.
Are you familiar with any of the spaces?
Am I?
Roll me a history check at advantage.
Where did we cross on this map?
Oh. At advantage.
So you guys crossed just east of Loom Keep, between Loom Keep and Carlacton.
Okay, so we're at the far north.
Yeah, so you guys have crossed over right about here.
Here? Okay, cool.
I don't like that there's Kraken down there at the bottom.
There are all sorts of legends and myths about Karnath, or about Corvair.
His ass out here is hanging out. It doesn't shut all the way.
Turtle dick.
Yeah, you.
Same.
Okay, I think we should be back. All right. So yeah, Clyde, you know a few of the major kind of landmarks across the northern place. You know that there's a couple of forts. The main one is called Dolan on the River, which is far to the west of here. But you know that this beam of light, which has been there ever since you've been crossing, is actually a fortification known as Fort Bright. You don't exactly know much about it, but Icar and all the salvage crews that you knew always avoided it. And it seems that even now you guys have landed kind of a good few hundred miles from Fort Bright. And I'll actually go ahead and add it. So it is kind of up here on this corner. That little square up there is where Fort Bright is.
I want to go there.
And are you saying this out loud as Boko just kind of looking at this pillar of light, moth. Or?
I don't think, has Boko ever seen this pillar of light?
Boko probably hasn't, actually, because Boko was towards further to the west for most of this. At least to your current memory, you don't remember seeing this pillar of light.
Yeah, Boko will just point at that and say, "What is this?"
Professor Greystorm kind of looks down at the map and kind of points.
That, as far as we know, is Fort Bright. It used to be a Siren military fortress. It was taken over by vampires at some point. Now we don't go there.
Okay,
you're welcome.
I am collecting curses.
We want to
die from the plague if you're a vampire.
We want to give.
This is accurate, as proven by the last campaign.
We want to give Fort Bright a wide berth, but there is an important road heading south from Fort Bright.
And he kind of takes out on the map and takes a pen. And let's see, we'll mark it.
From Fort Bright, there is a road that goes relatively directly to the south, along the hills. This road will lead us directly to Starmantle Citadel. So while we want to give a wide berth to Fort Bright, we want to meet up with the road at some point. And then we follow it to the Citadel and avoid that giant glowing chasm on the map.
Have I ever been in the glowing chasm?
Oh. You would have definitely...
That's what he said.
You would have definitely known of an existence of a... Think of it like the Grand Canyon, but if the Grand Canyon was filled with bioluminescent life. You know of the existence of that place, but it hasn't been particularly drawing to you the way that many other more spiritual locations have.
I just want to say that sounds amazing, and I wish that place was real.
And so Professor Greystorm kind of marks out on this map the general path that you all will kind of go, kind of following the edge of the hill and the terrain until you meet up with this road that supposedly takes you to this place that he referred to as the Star Mantle Citadel. And, oh, did I miss something in the chats? Oh, yeah, okay. I hate those videos too. I don't know why this isn't the default, but I regress.
Because the default has to be showing off full functionality.
Boko will say, "There is a place to the west that I wish to visit before we leave the mists. But perhaps this can be done after we visit the Star Mantle.
If we have
We're not here.
the ability. It is not a sightseeing tour. This place...
I understand this. However, that is the place where I had received the illness that we are studying.
There's a beat where he pauses.
We will see what degree we are in upon returning to this place.
Understood.
Even past the dead grey mist, the Mournland zaps your vitality and reduces the effectiveness of all healing magics. It makes it very hard for a long expedition, or even survival at all. We make it to the Star Mantle Citadel, achieve the research, hopefully some of the simulated cure, and then we will make it back to this point and you can decide whether you go further.
Understood.
And I don't know if I actually showed you guys Greystorm or not yet, but he is kind of this dark-skinned individual, this mage. He's kind of got this hair that is kind of in these short braids that kind of comes off of his hair, and these piercing blue eyes, long white mage robes with gold and blue details all across them. And it seems that every bit of magic that he casts has some sort of almost electric feel and resonance to it.
Do you all need anything before we begin our walk?
No.
An extra 3 lives, perhaps.
We'll be lucky to have one here, so I do not blame you.
And he kind of just begins striding off in a direction, and you can see that the environment here does kind of have a natural kind of tilt to it, where you can see what was once a very large kind of hill, not quite a mountain, but this rise in elevation, and he kind of follows along the edge of that towards where he believes this road to be.
Would you be able to put a mark on the map that shows an estimate of where the hovel would be?
So, to your best estimate, and let's go ahead and mark this in blue. To your best estimate, the hovel is somewhere around like here.
Directly within the glowing chasm. I was waiting for it.
No, it's towards the northern edge. Because you did make trips and travels. Oh no, hold on. Because you would have traveled over to the village fairly often. Oh, it's not gonna. Okay, let me replace that. I put it on the wrong side of this. Right here. Because it would be right across from that kind of land bridge, or what once was. That's kind of hanging down to the west of Limkeep. But you all begin to kind of make this traversal across the open environment. And there is no sun. There is not really anything green, as it is just a desolate landscape around. Just these trees that have been drained of all their life years ago and are in remnants here, but where no rot or decay can occur. And every so often there will be these spots where the fog coalesces into a bit of mist and it looks like a face kind of fades in from out of the air around you and then fades out, and it is ominous. And as we're moving through, Thishalt, I'd like you to tell me about fears that are present in Thishalt's mind. Something that has plagued him for a long time, that he worries about himself or his life, that in this moment he can't help but feel break into his mind.
Well, I'd say probably the biggest fear that I've had actually dates back a little bit to my academy days. I had a friend of mine that, unfortunately, situations diverted for us, and I became more of a scholar, and he became a soldier. And it's always bothered me since that time. There was really nothing I could do to stop or help to protect any of the things that we held dear. I don't know where he is now, and he may very well be dead amongst all these other corpses that are out here. But my hope was that perhaps with Steam and the advent of everything we could do to make automated type military equipment, that maybe I could prevent people like him from having to give that kind of sacrifice. And I'm actually still bothered by the guy that we left in the mist too, because that one, not that I knew him very well, but it still hurts a little bit.
With each shadow that is cast here, with each burst of mist, you swear that you can see the shapes, the outlines, the silhouettes, their faces, their features. Each one feels more and more like those faces that you have in your mind. That fear just balls up in the back of your neck, and you smell just this sulfurous, ashy environment around you, and it is like you've stepped into another world. You continue to look over your shoulders, and you see, not too far behind you, this hobgoblin, Rennie, who is kind of tightly held onto his small little concertina. Rennie, in this moment, as you kind of made it through the mists into this desolate landscape, describe to me one of the moments. Perhaps it was a folktale from your parents, or a ballad sung across a campfire, but a moment, a story that you remember of some dark myth or folklore or superstition that you feel is manifesting in this place right now.
All right, so the big story that was always told to scare the hobgoblin children was of the hag witches that would climb into a cabin or a house, and the house itself would go walk off. And that's the thing, that you'd make a deal with these people, or you'd interact with them, and to you what would seem like 5 or 10 minutes, just, hey, come here, help me with this, dearie. And then in your time, you could be hundreds of miles, thousands of miles away. That some of the Fae are terrifying, and it was always the scary stories of don't go talk to these people. That even if they don't mean harm to you, just their mere presence and their mere power will really trip you up. And so every time I glanced into the mist, I thought I saw one of these walking houses. And it freaked me out every single time. That it's just like, Mima's stories are real. Like, this is bullshit. This is where they go. This is what happens. Like, I thought that was just to scare the kids to not talk to strangers. But, like, holy shit.
And in this moment, all of the worst stories come to your mind of the most deadly, the most creepy hags and witches. Specifically these 3, the coven known as the Daughters of Sorakel. One, a beautiful woman of onyx hair who weaved dark words and would twist your mind. Those sweet words that would be called out to the children as they would just be led off into the forest to disappear. Another that always appeared as an elderly woman with a long cowl or robe and would just whisper dark fates and fortunes, would tell you about your demise, about the loved ones that didn't love you back, about your best friends who betrayed you, or dark truth that would haunt you. And finally, the third and most monstrous, this hag that was half witch and half troll, just immense and tall and hunched over with this gnarly back and these thick, angular claws. Her hair hanging behind this elongated face with this massive jaw that would just consume hobgoblin children whole. And all 3 of them would hang off of this moving house as it moved through the woods. And suddenly you look up and you can see this moving house. It's there and it's coming towards you. And suddenly Professor Greystorm just calls out, "Quiet, get down," and immediately tries to call your attention. I would like for one of your characters, who would like to head up this group stealth check?
Not me.
Not me either.
I'm wearing the heavy hospice armor, so I have disadvantage on stealth.
I'm always wearing the heavy
I'm
armor.
pretty good at stealth.
Would you guys like the person with expertise in stealth to...
No. We're discussing here.
Okay. Let me know what the results of your discussion are.
Roland.
I vote Roland.
Roland.
Okay.
Also vote.
Wait, hold on. What's your dexterity, Roland?
Ooh.
Nope.
Enough.
Isn't Rhea the sneakiest of us?
Rhea is very sneaky. You've seen her nearly disappear as well. Both of them are very competent at stealth.
Some of that's because I'm small.
Some of it is. And in this
And
moment,
the grass is
it is a
tall.
group effort. It's just one of you is going to be heading up this effort. And so who is kind of taking charge of the stealth in this moment?
You know what? Fine. Rhea. I will cast guidance on Rhea.
Ooh.
All right. Well, Rhea.
I think it's that. Okay, yeah.
Rhea moving closest to Professor Greystorm. You hear this first. How are you getting everyone's attention to give them the sense of this urgency that they need to act in a stealthy way? What are you doing to lead this?
We're all pretty grouped together.
You are.
I don't know. I don't know people too well. I think having worked more with Rennie pretty frequently, I would probably have a fairly reliable signal. I would imagine I had needed to signal him to shut up and be quiet before.
Okay.
So I can get the message quickly to whatever side of the group he's on. and then try and just do my best that between the two of us, if we're each able to quickly like tap the people around us with a silent like shh, like a quick gesture of stop moving, be quiet, hold on a second, don't make any noise.
All right, Rhea, as you kind of sense this urgency from Professor Greystorm, you send out this call to get Rennie's attention. Kind of knowing these signals from being a part of Sweeties, Roland immediately picks it up and kind of switches to casting guidance on you to help supporting the effort. Rennie, you hear this call. Is there any action, or rather, what action or how are you trying to assist in helping this group stealth check?
Knowing that it's now severe and I have to do something quickly, will immediately put a damper cloth around everything so I don't make any noises. That I'm pretty used to being told to stop making noise, shut the fuck up, and sit down before I mess anything up. And I will... In
character, of course.
Yeah. And I will start trying to gesture and make signs at anyone who can see me of just like, shh, pay attention, look, stop. So like, not moving my arms wildly, but like moving my fingers.
Yeah. So as you're trying to get people's attention, trying to get them to pay attention to what is going on, go ahead and make me a persuasion check as you're trying to assist with this. And as we move through, for those of you who aren't familiar with these type of group checks, one person will be leading the actual check and everyone else will be supporting in different ways. We'll have them make checks and that will adjust the overall DC that the leader will then go up against. So in this moment, Rennie, you immediately get everyone's attention, kind of using hand signals and quiet, like you have done this before, and it moves in a smooth way, kind of beginning to get everyone's attention and allowing them to be able to make some sort of support to assist with this. Bungo, you're nearby Professor Greystorm and you see Rennie kind of do these motions. How are you supporting, how are you helping to make this overall group stealth check?
I don't know if I really have anything that could help with a stealth check. I think I'm just gonna be quiet. I definitely get the message, so I'm just gonna be quiet and not cause any trouble.
Okay, so trying to fight maybe the fear and the intensity of this moment, why don't you go ahead and make me a wisdom saving throw, trying to just do and fall into what is expected here. Okay. The energy is starting to get to you. Things are starting to get real, and you feel that fear, that dread that had for a long time you've been pushing out. You feel it starting to close in on you, but so far it hasn't gotten there yet. We'll go over then to the Schult. The Schult, what are you doing to assist in this moment as word is getting around that something is happening?
Well, I'm not particularly good at stealth, but I suppose we've got a good look at it and we know kind of, because Rennie was someone, I assumed I was.
Got to look at something. You don't know what it is yet. You've just gotten word that there is something that you probably don't want to run into, and people are trying to be quiet. They're trying to duck down low. They're starting to move in a way that is stealthily.
Yeah, as much as I'm kind of curious about what it is, I'm probably going to aim to try and be as quiet as possible first and foremost. So, I guess, so what I do trying to think of if I have anything besides just rolling stealth. I don't really
Make it up.
Say what?
Make it up. You got this.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you can think of
a steam container and put fog around us.
Exactly. It could be something like that.
True.
It could be something like using your mind to look at the area, the terrain around you that you might be able to find the best hiding spot. And that can be either kind of like a survival based or kind of looking at the actual detailed terrain using your intellect. Like think of different ways that you might be able to assist that might not be the most straightforward. It kind of gives you in this moment flexibility to be to have kind of a creative approach to it.
No, David did give me a good idea. I might look to see if I can't just at least kind of dispense some sort of steam cloud to be able to obscure more of our presence.
Yeah, sure. Give me a Tinker's Tools check.
All right, cool. I am at normal. Good. All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Trying to blend in with the natural fog that's here, you just give us this soft emanating steam just to kind of obfuscate and make it a little bit more difficult to detect what is around. That'll bring us over to Boko. Boko, is there any actions that you're taking to assist in this moment?
So we are still pretty local to where Boko has done a lot of exploring and salvaging. And so as Rhea begins ushering us off this sort of beaten path, Boko is immediately going to start scanning the ground around us and trying to recognize any holes or flora or anything that would be an issue to us. Like trying not to kneel into like poison nettles or trying not to like take cover in bushes that fight back kind of stuff.
Yeah, give me a nature check at advantage.
Bushes that fight back.
Okay.
There are things in the mist where you bite them and they bite you back.
And you actually see in this moment where Bungo is kind of feeling this fear and starting to move backwards into this. It wouldn't even seem to be a plant to most people. It looks like this old desiccated rock, for lack of a better terms. But you know that if you get too close to this, spines will actually protrude out. And will kind of inject poison into any creature that comes near. And you kind of grab Bungo by the hand and kind of point it out and move away from that area. And finally, that'll bring us to Clyde. Clyde, is there anything that you're doing in this moment as most everyone is trying to do what they can to keep this stealth, to kind of keep low from whatever is on the horizon?
Clyde, make a check to see if he knows what it could be that he saw. Knowing from traveling around kind of not necessarily this area, but along this close to the dead mists.
So in this moment, you haven't seen what it is. If you would like to assist by looking and making a perception check and then trying to feed information about it, that can be the way that you support this.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, go ahead and make me a perception check then. Okay. Well done. And with that, with an extremely lower DC, as I'll kind of roll that directly into what Sam's is. Sam, you're now going to make a stealth check with Bless, and it's going to be against a DC 14. So with you've had 4 successes and 1 failure, so an overall it lowered by 6 from a DC 20 to a DC 14.
Okay. I did take expertise in stealth, but I have not figured out how to code that in, so it's 3 more.
Okay, good to know.
Oh no. Hey, I'm a halfling. Oh no, I'm not. Am I not? Darn, I'm small, but I'm the wrong small.
A goblin.
Wow.
Wait, hold on. Did the second
Let the mist have me. I've let you down. Just toss me out.
Go ahead and roll me your D4.
Wait.
Okay.
Did the second roll
technically, you're at a 10 and you need a 14.
Can I use Flash of Genius?
Oh,
You beat me to it.
So you can, and that does bring it over the threshold. However, the natural one does still have a play here.
Fair.
yeah, of course.
And so what
After
happens?
signaling everyone else to be quiet, Rhea sneezes the loudest sneeze you've ever heard.
Clyde says, "Bless you."
and it's not necessarily a sneeze. What happens is, Rhea, you are so used to being stealthy in your own natural environment. But this is not your environment. And as Professor Greystorm has called out for everyone to be quiet and get low, everyone kind of drops down, starts to do what they can to support. And Clyde, looking out, already being low to the ground, just kind of looks out to identify what this is. And Clyde, you see a hulking organic form. that looks to be a large plant, but it has these massive bulb-like growths, and it's probably 25 feet across. It is this massive plant, and it has these long vines that are rolling across the ground, and it is moving. It is physically traversing across the ground, and as it lifts up over the hill, you see that not only does it have these pod-like growths across the top, but all throughout the vines that make up the body of this plant, there is just thick bones and skulls and aged pieces of flesh that have not fully rotted. And within one of these vines just hangs this desiccated corpse, its arms just kind of weaving back and forth from one side to the other. And you know this to be a entity called a corpse flower. They're relatively common within the Mournland as they thrive off of death and survive off of the death of other creatures for their sustenance. And you look over to tell everyone, all you have to do is not move. It has blind sight, but it can't see other than that. And Rhea, just in her natural, is just down being quiet, but just moving step by step by step, trying to get around this creature. And suddenly, with a lurch, this creature wraps out a viney hand and whips up towards Rhea, and just kind of pulls her up in the air. And everybody kind of holds their breath, getting ready to react. And it doesn't seem to be aggressive yet, but has kind of drug what it seems as a corpse and pulled it over as it holds one actual corpse and one Rhea that is attempting very much to be quiet. But it is terrifying in this moment. What are you guys doing?
Okay. How far away is it?
It's maybe 30 feet away. One of these vines just kind of reached out and grabbed her and pulled her away, and it's starting to walk and move away. All of you guys are like locked. You don't want to move because then it'll know you're here. But you need to do something because Rhea's just standing there. Her face is just wide-eyed as she's just being carried away by this carnivorous plant.
Well, it was nice knowing you.
No.
Clyde, we'll see how much movement will set it off. Clyde is going to try and cast Minor Illusion on the opposite side of this thing, away from us, to see if it will drop Rhea and move towards the new... it's just going to be a sound that it can try and go towards.
So I will say, with the perception check, you knew that this creature only has blind sight. It doesn't actually see or hear. It's a plant, and so it only detects movement.
Okay, then it'll be an image. It'll be some sort of... Let's see, because it can be, right?
While he does that, if that doesn't work, I'm going to go ahead and aim my hand to try and propel it out and grab her out of the plant's grasp.
Am I able to take actions, or
You can,
am I pretty
absolutely.
much like terrified? Because I had a similar thought of trying to pull up my shadow image as a distraction and see if we could make an exchange.
So yeah, Clyde, in this moment, you attempt a minor illusion, and Rhea, you try to summon this shadow clone, and the plant doesn't seem to take any notice of them at all. It walks directly through the shadow clone, and the minor illusion is like moving over and wiggling, and it doesn't notice it at all. It doesn't make a tangible impact on the ground.
Okay.
Before we get to you, Roland, you said that you were going to try and grapple her with the grab?
Might be a way to solve this, yes.
Okay, so you're more looking at other people and kind of making the motion to see if they...
Yeah, I'm basically kind of looking over towards a couple of us, and I'm like, you know, because we only have probably a short time to react, so I'm like, hey, like, is there anything that I shouldn't be doing this? Probably look at the Roland mostly, actually.
Roland is going to pull out a copper piece or just pick up a stone off the ground and whisper into it a sound that he's rather familiar with, and flick it over onto the other side, basically where the illusion is, having her blind sight, so visual shit isn't working. And the sound is a death rattle. Basically. Of just of the last breath escaping a corpse.
So you toss
Try
this
and get
pebble,
the same effect.
trying to get some sort of focus, and you see that there is some reaction. And Roland, just due to your intelligence, you can see that this reaction kind of happens not as the sound is kind of passing by it, but as it actually impacts the ground. This creature doesn't have any ears either. It only detects the physical impacts of movement. And it kind of acknowledges it, but kind of registers it as being small enough that it's not worth its time, and continues, as it's just a small pebble that actually hits. And so it's still kind of moving away.
Boko's hand is going into the bag of holding and pulls out the
corpse.
Still intact arm of one of the strange juggernaut things that we had fought repeatedly at the manor, and is going to hold it out in front of his legs, because his legs are going to be what's impacting the ground. So he's hoping it's going to grab this first, and he's going to try to line himself up with the vines that have grabbed Rhea.
Okay. As that's happening, I do need Rhea for you to go ahead and make me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
And Boko, you said you're trying to toss this?
I'm holding it in front of my arms as I'm stepping, or in front of my legs as I'm stepping towards this creature, seeing how sensitive it is. But I'm trying to line myself up so that if it is going to grab me, the closest vines that it has to grab me are the ones that grabbed Rhea, or near that. So if I get pulled in, at least we're both together.
Okay, we have backups.
Okay.
And I am going to pull back the roots from the leg, exposing the blade, so that should it grab the blade with a lot of force.
So, Rhea, as you're sitting here dangling with this flower just filled with bodies of old corpses that it has picked up, there is just this terrible stench. And you just kind of do your best to hold in your breath. And for now, you're able to push through just the awful smell around you. Boko, as you begin slowly walking with this arm out, you see as those vines kind of slowly reach over and begin to kind of reach in your direction. Are you kind of holding? It's
Rhea?
like she's like 20 feet from you guys at this point, moving. The corpse flower itself is kind of moving in a direction away.
How high up is she?
Oh, she's like 6-7 feet. Like she's roughly eye level.
As soon as those vines start coming out, Boko's gonna line up, and as soon as they make a shot for him, he's gonna surrender the arm and launch. Just run towards Rhea, pulling out a length of rope. I am surprised at how often this spell is coming in handy. Boko is going to prepare to cast Rope Trick.
Okay, let's first do... I'll let you do either an athletics or an acrobatics check as you try to make this jump without getting snagged by the vines and kind of give them the arm.
Ooh, I think I will flash of genius to make that a 13.
Okay.
Wait, how far does he have to cover?
Like 20 feet?
20 feet?
20 feet.
So what happens here is that you kind of leave the arm and these vines reach out and grab the arm, and it pretty much falls to dust as soon as the pressure is applied. And it leaves with just the gauntlet intact. As you dive over, you make it most of the distance and nearly to Rhea. But as soon as you land on the ground, the vines immediately start moving in that direction. And I think we're gonna have to. Why don't you go ahead and roll me a? This will be like a dexterity roll or initiative check with this creature, and see if you can get rope trick off before it latches onto you.
Can I also participate by trying to grab the plant to stop it from making it to Boko?
Ooh.
That is wild. Yeah. Go ahead and roll me an initiative check, the Schalt.
All right.
Work fisting decapitator. Yeah.
I got that one from a few sessions back.
Yeah.
Gotta give him the old decapistrate.
So, with a 19.14.
Oh no.
As you go to launch this, the vines just move whipping around towards your body, Boko. And it is going to make attacks against what it now senses as a potential threat.
Yeah, shit.
Let's see. It does not think that you are dead anymore, and so it's just going to swing out.
It is going to try to remedy that.
So it will make 3 attacks against you.
Oh, never mind. 3 attacks. Never mind.
That first one, if it hits, is going to get silvery barbed so hard.
Okay.
I also did not equip my shield.
Good.
No.
Good.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
They all
So
hit.
on the dice, I rolled an 18, a natural 20, and an 18. Silvery barbs on the first one, I re-rolled, got an 18.
Wow.
Well, Rhea, you
So-
have advantage on your next thing you do.
Rhea, because Boko's gonna be dead.
Boko, no.
Okay.
That's Boko's like base state.
Just his
You should have given me
go-to.
up as a sacrifice to the monsters. Maybe you could have gotten some good luck out of it.
Boko, do you have anything for poison damage?
I
Makes his tummy hurt.
You have to be at least resistant, right? I mean, come on.
I don't think I am. I am
Really?
resistant to lightning damage, but
What? Why?
Good to know for later.
Okay.
reason.
If he makes it to the
It's so when he gets smited, he'll survive.
It was one of the. I don't know.
That's what it is.
All right, Boko. Well, in this quick movements of the corpse flower. Oh my gosh. You're gonna
boy.
start out by taking 12 points of bludgeoning damage, and I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
That's not fantastic.
That is not fantastic. And you're going to take another 13 points of poison damage as this first tentacle just whacks out towards you, and as it constricts, you feel the death latching into you.
Oh no.
That was the first one.
That was the first one.
Oh no. Boko.
Second one. Okay. That wasn't. Okay. 8, 10, 12 points of bludgeoning damage and another con save.
Okay.
I should probably just start getting the tokens out now. Okay, that is a success. And so you do not take any additional poison damage, which is good because that was a natural 20.
Boko should probably just start getting his next character ready.
No.
And then the third one, you're going to take 12 points of bludgeoning damage, and I need another Constitution save.
This is for all the marbles.
Oh boy.
I have 1 health left.
What?
Hey
How
yo.
many marbles?
1 health left. If this,
Oh my
if this
god.
con save succeeds, I have
It
1 health.
succeeds. Golly.
You may now delay getting the next character ready by approximately 6 seconds.
Oh.
Yep. But one thing has escaped your notice, Roland. It is now my turn.
Hey, yo.
Okay, hold up, because we're gonna seeing this.
We're gonna have to do,
yeah, everybody is gonna be getting in on this action. Let me make sure that I've.
Do I get to try and grab the plant first, though?
So technically, you and Boko have already rolled initiative. I will allow with this attack, everybody else will be rolling initiative, but I'm just gonna get us, and I just need to copy tokens in. Because for a while there, I thought we were gonna make it through, but. It's all right. It's all right.
Damn plants.
Think of how much loot is probably wrapped up in this thing's roots, by the way.
Okay.
So true.
So we're going to have Boko over
Boko,
here.
you can get a new arm.
All right. If everybody wants to go ahead and roll me initiative, and then we'll fix when Boko and the Schalt, when you roll yours, we'll fix it with the previous numbers.
Sounds good.
Nice.
I'm gonna go ahead and nat 20 mine real quick to be extra sad. Thank God.
You already had your natural 20 for today. You just
wait, true.
Do I have?
And 8.1. Oopsie days, not 89. That'd be a crazy initiative.
Gonna get to go 4 times for anyone else get to.
I actually think on Monday we played with it. Yeah, exactly. We played with somebody who could roll an 89.
What? Oh my God.
I'm only partially exaggerating.
That's insane.
Pretty sure I've seen a 39.
At a Lilith roll?
Like literally, I had
Lilith roll.
I ran a combat and had both of my top bosses roll natural 20s, and she still went first.
Damn.
Oh, easily. She had a plus 20 something to initiative.
That's ridiculous.
One of them was an assassin.
Sure,
rogue.
we'll do that.
Damn.
That looks like a fun thing. Close enough.
Ew. I really hate that.
Okay.
Is Echo Grace also going to join us?
Yeah, I'll just get it in a second.
Or is he just going, fucking dumbasses, and sitting this one out?
He rolled a 3 plus his initiative, so it'll be a second.
He thought we'd be stealthy.
Anyway.
Oh, wait. This is a corpse flower? Lisa no gai.
Rhea, in this moment, you are the first to act after the corpse flower aggressively goes after Boko. What would you like to do as you're dangling within this thing?
So is it wrapped? Am I wrapped up? Can I move?
Yeah, you are currently grappled.
Okay, so I can't really make an attack, but
you can still make an attack. It doesn't affect anything but your movement. You just move with the creature.
Oh, I can. Okay, my arms are free, and I can try and cut at the vines holding me.
Guys, it's weak to stabbing.
I think it's more weak to slashing at that point. The stabbing probably not as useful.
All right, and Ray, after you carve into it, Boko, you are close enough. Because it went Roland. That's gonna bring us to you.
We're gonna do a Rudy Tooty boot and shooty. So we're gonna try at least. Bonus action, we're gonna do the insightful manipulator to see if I can get any bonus on it.
All right.
And I'll do that investigation check with a 2, so hopefully that gets that out of the way for the attack.
Oh my gosh. Well, you learned one of the creature's ability scores. I thought that was going to be... Yeah. I rolled really high and you rolled really low.
Yep. We're going to go strength for that since it's grappling shit.
Strength is 14.
Okay, good to know. weaker than I thought. And then we're gonna do the shooty. $17.
A 17 does hit. Go and roll me damage.
Added to the tracker, still there.
Wait, was that a hit?
Yes, it was a hit.
I don't have a roll into hit tracker. I'm sorry. They're not frequent enough for me to take up space on this Google Doc.
You need the final statistic at the end. Like, come on, without that, the miss tracker. Yeah, I could just attack 1,000 times in a round, and then, you know, all of the misses could be
we
from
would
6
just
seconds.
count the misses.
Okay. Roland.
19 damage.
Perfect.
I get to re-roll piercing damage, by the way. I rolled a 1 on the first d12, and then I rolled a 2 when I re-rolled it.
I love it. Roland, you just aim at the center mass of this creature and fire, and as your bullet collides into the center of this creature, bones, dust kind of scatters, and you see one of the skulls just kind of look straight at you, and the eyes start to alight as the body pulls itself free of this flower and right out of this creature and begins to walk in the direction of you all.
Excellent.
And Boko, after all of this occurs, you can finally get around to casting rope trick if you would like to still.
Put yourself.
I think we're gonna have to.
Go get him, champ.
Emergency escape.
Yeah, Boko's gonna pull out his like 6-foot long rope and cast a rope trick, and it's gonna whoop, and he's gonna look at Rhea and he's gonna go. He's gonna climb straight up into the extra dimensional space here.
All right, here is your attack of opportunity then.
Somebody please tell
ever
me they
actually go more than 5 feet away, though? If you just went...
If he is moving into an extra dimensional space, he is moving out of...
Square of influence.
Yeah.
It's 6 feet of rope.
And technically,
shot.
technically, it doesn't close off that, so this tentacle can reach in and smack you if you're at the gate. You have cover
so
from
he'll
everywhere
die
else.
in the extra dimensional space.
But in
and
theory,
we won't be able to save him.
It's not a concentration spell.
You'll be stuck in the extra dimensional space.
Yes, you will.
All right, that is a 14 to hit. Boko, does that hit your current AC?
Oh my god!
My current AC is 16.
Yes.
Okay. Then with that brings us to Bungo. Bungo, you see this massive flower filled with corpses start to spew out these walking zombie-like creatures. What are you doing?
Well, I was trying to protect Boko, but my mic was muted, so...
Oh no!
I'm glad it worked out, because I would have felt real bad. Okay, well, he tries to cast Stone Aegis, but something about the Mournlands messes with his magic, and it doesn't quite come out right. So he's going to try again, and he's going to cast... I'll do Catapult, and up it twice for damage. Hang on. Too many things to look at right now. How far away am I, by the way?
You are... Let's see... Hopefully it's... Oh yeah, that's about right. Yeah, it's about 35 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be pretty close. And you throwing it straight at the creature, or are you trying to go through the like zombie into the creature? And it would just hit whatever it hit first.
I think I'm just gonna try and hit the zombie.
Okay.
whatever came out of this thing, I can't hurt this giant thing. So Bungo's gonna try and hit the zombie because that's something he can do. That's at his skill level.
Can he?
That is a 10 for the save, which I don't believe passes.
No, it does not.
So go ahead and roll me that damage.
All right, so that is 3d8 because I upped it twice.
Damn.
Actually, let me double check real quick. I don't want to give myself too much. Yep, extra d8, so that's 3d8.
17, nice. Okay. As you, as you send out just this rock straight at this creature's head, it collides and smashes into the front of its skull. Can you go ahead and roll a d20? And Boko, can you roll me a d20 as well?
Wait, no, I don't want to.
Could be worse. Could be a D100.
It'll be fine.
I'm safe in my... Jesus Christ.
Oh.
I'm safe in my fucking space. Magical effects can't pass through.
Are you? How secure do you feel in your space right now?
How safe is your space?
I don't know.
Oh, God. Oh, Boko, no.
Okay.
Wait, hold on, I have to read this fucking spell now.
So Bungo, you lash out at this zombie-like creature, just smashing in half of its head, and really half of its skull, as most of the flesh is gone from this creature at this point. And it continues for now, lumbering forward. But Boko, suddenly
attacks and spells can't cross through the entrance.
Oh.
Unless it is the spell. As you see the edges of your dimensional space start to flicker.
Oh, shoot.
Clyde, what are you doing?
It would be me. Everybody is casted. It would be me.
You're gonna kill yourself. Gotta check that one off. Didn't see that coming, did you?
You know, that completes the trifecta. You've killed player characters as a DM. You've killed player characters as a player, and now you've killed yourself as a player. Next up, killing yourself as a DM. Oh wait, I think you've done that too.
Clyde, did you hear us, or are you on mute?
I heard you.
Okay.
I was just reading my Herald of Legend, like, which one do I want to use? Yeah, no. Clyde will start his Herald of Legend Berry, his war cant, so that everyone within 15 feet
It's
will
called
get
War Can, okay?
we'll get a plus a D8. I'll roll it now to all of their attack. Let me post this. Yeah. We'll get a plus a D8 to their attacks.
Damn!
Whew.
I don't care who's dead, I'm attacking next round.
You will still miss.
And yeah, that's my action. I was going to heal Boko, but he is now fucking gone.
Spell
I'm
cannot cross
currently
the
being
boundary.
eaten by my own extra
Wait. This might not be a spell.
This is not a spell.
This is not a spell. As a bonus action. Okay, it does.
No, you're good with your bonus action. Yep.
Okay. You're gonna get a little bit of light comes off of Clyde, goes through the portal to Boko, and you're gonna get 2d6 of healing.
Except it doesn't.
Right?
You attempt to send your healing spell, and it just shatters at the edge of the extra dimensional space.
It is
not
a class ability.
Ooh. Can you post it?
Yeah. The healing light ability.
Ooh. Okay.
Damn, Clyde finding God and shit.
God. No, I've said before, he just really likes the moons.
Clyde likes getting mooned.
You have to be able
Okay.
to see them.
So with what is it? With the extra dimensional space, it's specified just spells, right?
Spells and attacks.
It does, but you have to be able to see. So I don't think you
Oh,
can see
yeah,
me
you
from
can't
outside.
see.
Yeah. Well,
If
that's
you
what
want
I
to move,
want to do.
if you want to move directly where Boko is, you can see him if you're directly under him.
If you're
You
looking up
can't
the rope.
see into it.
Right where the
You
plant
can't see into it.
You can't.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
can
Well,
only
never
see
mind.
the rope, and then when you pull up the rope, it's invisible.
So yeah,
You can
Then-
see out, but you can't see in.
gotcha.
Then
So then
instead,
Boko is
Clyde will
gone.
just move- yep, Clyde will just move right behind Thashald here and go get him, buddy.
All right, and that's
You got a chance.
10-foot
Damn, I've sealed
radius.
my own fate here.
Like, I saw you get hurt, and I was like, oh, sweet, I'll heal him next. Nope.
You would lock yourself in a non-dimensional bubble with 1 health left and watch yourself just.
Oh no, it's within 15 feet.
How crunchy is Boko right now? Because he gave up his mechanical arm, so
He's still got a little bark.
It's not very delicious. He is wood and bone, and that's it.
yeah. I didn't ask delicious. I asked crunchy.
Yeah, he's
Very,
got a
Sounds
texture.
very crunchy.
He's still
This is a
crunchy.
plant, so it might enjoy that even more.
Yeah, right. Plants love breaking rock.
Uh-oh. Zambi.
Yeah, this zombie's gonna come up and try and slam Thashalt with a giant 9.
Okay.
Flying, bounces up the armor.
Rennie, that's gonna bring us to your turn.
Alright, so I'm sitting here thoroughly freaking out at the moment, and I remember the advice I was always given that when I was scared of something, to imagine the thing I was scared of being scared itself. And so I start just with all of my fiber of my being, imagine this plant and all of its tentacles wrapped on fire, and it's like shaking and freaking out and swinging its arms around trying to get its arms off of being on fire. So I would like to accidentally cast Phantasmal Force at the corpse flower using my reckless spell stuff.
Oh.
Okay, so disadvantage.
It needs to make a DC 16 int save at disadvantage, or it will believe that its tentacles are all on fire and try and deal with them.
And Phantasmal Force doesn't have any restrictions about like a minimum intelligence, right?
Nope.
Yeah,
It
okay.
just says what type of creatures it can affect.
Yeah.
Or pardon me, can't affect.
Oh, where does it say that?
Let me
what
find
creatures
that.
can it not?
1 second. 5e Phantasmal Force. It cannot affect undead or constructs.
Okay. So unfortunately, this does not seem to have an effect on this creature, as it does count as a plant and an undead.
Tragic. Sorry.
Unfortunate.
That's all right.
Now use real fire.
Now we know. One step forward. Yeah, as you try and just kind of force this this moment through, just kind of in terror and concern for your friends. Unfortunately, it doesn't come to fruition. Do you want to move at all, or are you staying where you're at?
Oh no, I'm thoroughly freaked out. I am not going forward or backward.
All right, and that'll bring us. Oh shoot, I forgot to do Jasira as well. Hold on 1 second. I imagine hers is going to be high. Yeah, we'll say that she's been freaking out, but she'll go at this point, trying to fight the terror that is also gripping her. Jasira is just going to run up and kind of take the lesser of two evils and try and smash this this zombie. And let's see, martial attack.
Oh,
Oh
the
yeah,
people's elbow.
25. Oh yeah. Let's see if it
+8.
passes.
Smell it.
Oh yeah. So she
+8.
smashes it and it falls down and then stands back up, rising again from the grave. And she tries to smack it again and will hit, which is still plenty. And I think, yeah, okay. And 6. Oh gosh, this is gonna be so close. Plus an 8 is 14. Yeah, with that, with the second strike, she just slams into this zombie, and this zombie is cratered into the ground after it had its second resurrection, or its first resurrection, rather. Depends on how you look at
Second.
it. Yeah, depends on how you look at
any
it.
more chances with things that resurrect. Jasira's just pummeling up.
And the Shalt, that'll bring us to you.
All right, so now we actually beating the planet a little bit. So Boko's up in the rope trick, and Rhea is still. I'm sorry. Did that last stack release her from the plant or not?
Yes, it did.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well. Oh, Boko, what am I supposed to do?
He gets himself into these problems.
Oh God. And the plant's not dead.
No.
It is
Plant's
most notably
Yeah.
undead.
well, yes, we did figure that one out. But okay, so I
Terrible.
Water this plant.
I mean, I can respect it.
No, not the water of this plant. The undead. That was terrible.
Now, wait a second. No, I
Water of
can't.
This plant was good.
Okay, I can't see him though. Is the only problem. I'm thinking, can I shoot